Hi, I'm Joe Chambers from Chambers Custom and 1911 University, bringing you another mathematical review of a 1911 that a client sent in to me. Before we get started on the math of this gun, I want to remind everybody watching this that every time I do a review, it is simply the math. I try to keep as much emotion out of it as possible, even though sometimes I let it slip what I'm really thinking. And at the end, I always tell you whether or not I would buy a particular gun based on what I saw. That being said, there's some people out there that have seen reviews that I've done that think that they're an attempt to slam another company, and they're really not. It has nothing to do with that. What it has to do with is giving you, the consumer, the math behind the guns that are given to me to review so that you can make an educated decision on whether or not you want to spend your money with that company. That doesn't mean that the math that I give you on a particular gun is the math that it's going to be the same on every gun that company builds. That doesn't mean if I find something bad on that particular gun, it's going to be bad on every gun that they build. It's just a sample of one, or sometimes I get 2 or 3 of the same brand in a row, and I can look at those and give you particular math on those. So keep in mind, these are samples of one. They may or may not be indicative of the entire body of work from a particular company. I'm not the judge of that. I'm just giving you what I see on a particular item and can measure and analyze so that you can make better decisions with your money. All right, with that being said, let's get into it. The name of this particular review is Jewish Rain. Here's the profiles of the gun. All right, this is a gun that many people have asked me to review, a brand. It's a stainless Commander 45. It features a true bull barrel style barrel, unlike the wedge lock barrels that we see. It has a full-length guide rod, fixed iron sights, single side safety, skeletonized trigger. It's got an aluminum mainspring housing. You can see the color differentiation there. It's got really, really deep cocking serrations, which if that's what you like, that's what you like. You guys know me, you know my feelings on front cocking serrations. It doesn't do anything for me. So these guns retail for about $1,000. This gun was purchased new. It was actually built according to the stamps that were on the gun in the summer of 2021. And the gun, as it was sent to me, has approximately 250 to 500 rounds through it. So it's a fairly new gun. Right? It hasn't been abused, it hasn't been beat up, it hasn't been, drugged through the mud or any of that stuff. It's a fairly new gun. That being said, there's some things about the gun that I like. I like the style of bull barrel with the taper, the true taper. I like the simplicity of the gun. I like an all stainless gun, you guys know that. But there's also some things that I don't care for on the gun. I don't care for the depth of the cocking serrations. I don't care for the fact that it has no barrel fit at all. I don't care for the fact that it's so loose in the slide to frame that you can hear it rattling when you shake it. But that being said, it's a lower tier 1911 in that $1,000 and ish price range. So, we'll get into the math here and you can make your own decision. All right, barrel OD 6952, slide ID 7002 for tolerance difference of 5 thousandths rather. Barrel hood to breech face gap 7 thousandths. Slide stop pinhole in frame is 0.201. The slide stop pin diameter depends on how you measure it. Now these guns have a lot of MIM parts in them. Take that for what you will. Depends on how you feel about MIM, but it can cause some issues with some parts as far as how they're shaped when they come out of the mold and whatnot. So the slide stop diameter was 198 unless you turned it 90 degrees, and then it was 196.5. So it's not a round slide stop. That's a difference of 3 thousandths-ish. The extractor length was spot on at 2.248. The hook's a little long, but that's okay. It's a stock factory gun. The extractor does have about 7 thousandths fore and aft play. That's because the firing pin plate is so loose. The ejector length is 1.005. The issue I have with the ejector on this gun is it is literally falling out of the gun. It is pinned in place so it can't fall out, but it is so loose that it's rattling up and down. That's going to be an issue down the road for the owner, so I will fix that before we send the gun back out. There is 0% barrel leg contact with the slide stop pin. None. 0. But there's also no barrel bump, so that's good. Slide stop hole in the link is 204, which is pretty standard on a lot of these base model guns. Barrel leg height is 91 and 92 thousandths respectively. The link bridge thickness is 97 thousandths for a difference of 5 to 6 thousandths, depending on which leg you're measuring. And that means that the gun is truly a link rider. And what that means is when the gun cycles, the barrel is only cycling on the link. It's not touching the legs at all. Slide way width is 7554. Frame rail width is 7512 in the rear and 752 in the front. So it tapers. So the frame tapers. It's narrower in the rear than it is in the front. This is a difference of roughly 3.5 to 4 thousandths. Slide way height is 1045. Frame rail height is 100.5 for a difference of 4 thousandths. Slide rail height is 1165. Frame way height is 1205 for a difference of 4 thousandths. That's why the gun is loose up and down. Right there, you can hear it. Is because it has 8 thousandths tolerance up and down. Vertical frame impact surface, or the frame vertical impact surface, what we call the viz, measures 340 from the rear of the slide stop pin to the actual viz in the frame. And that's fine. It's a little over tolerance, but the problem is the barrel viz measures 325. So the chances that this barrel, the back of the legs, are hitting the frame properly when the gun cycles is very slim. And so what that means is there is a possibility that over time the link, which is stopping the barrel's rearward movement, may break. Trigger parts. Trigger pull measures 3 pounds 4 ounces on my NRA scales. The mainspring housing is 19 pound, which is a little light in my opinion for a 45. The disco is an unmodified drop-in part at 1.295. The sear is an unmodified drop-in part at 0.7805, so both those parts are fine. Hammer hooks are not dressed for over travel bump, and they measure 21 thousandths. The trigger pull on this gun is not a bad trigger pull, although the trigger does move up and down in the frame about 10 thousandths. So that gives you a little bit of a mushy kind of feel to the trigger pull. The recoil spring in this gun measured on my scale at 14 pounds, which is a little light for me in a 45 Commander, especially if you've got a 19-pound mainspring, which is what this weighed on my scale. It may be 20, but when I weighed it on my scale, the way we weigh springs here at the shop, it came out at 19. Overall impressions of this gun, you know, I think the lower end price point of the 1911 market is really packed with a lot of options. You have this one, you have the Rock Island, you have the Ruger. There's just so many of them. There's a Tysus. There's all kinds of 1911s in this price point. And to be honest with you, sometimes you get a really good one, and sometimes you get one that just leaves you a little wanting. So for $1,000, if I was looking for, you know, a Commander 45 in that price range, based on the measurements that I just saw, I don't know that I would go down this road unless I could inspect the gun, you know, at least get a feel of it in the gun shop and go, oh yeah, that one's a lot tighter than the one that Joe had on his video or whatever. Yeah, I just don't know that I personally wouldn't spend my money on one of these myself. So there you have it, folks. The Jewish Rain gun, Commander 45 stainless, $1,000 pistol. I'm Joe Chambers with Chambers Custom and 1911 University. And remember, folks, math don't lie. 3.14 is always pi.